Warning: the following video contains footage that is not for the faint of heart.
What's up guys, welcome to the GC journey. In this video we have one goal and one goal alone, and that is to get the new engine assembly ready to go in the GC8. So in order for that to happen, we have a few jobs that we need to do. The engine needs to be timed, we need to degree the cams. The time my friend will be coming over to help us with that. Finish assembling the rocker cover breathers, all the seals, intake manifold, exhaust manifold, turbo, and do a bit of plumbing for the coolant and for the oil. I would prefer to get as many things as I can on the engine before putting it in the engine bay, because some things are not that easy to get to once the engine is inside. So lots of work to do. I'm really excited with the progress that we're making and with everything going on. If you're excited as I am, give us a like to this video and let's get on with it. So picking up from where we last stopped, which was the ASMR long block assembly video, started putting all the BC adjustable cam gears, the new crank trigger wheel, all the timing pulleys that came in the RCM timing kit, and talked everything down to spec. Some part numbers for whoever's interested. Here is the part number for the cam gear bolts. Here is the part number for the 2001 and on crank trigger wheel. This is the part number for the crank pulley bolt. And these are some of the torque specs for the timing components. Which, by the way, if you're into part numbers and torque specs, then you should definitely check out the last video I made of the long block assembly, but not now. Finish watching this video first and then go and watch the ASMR video, because between you and me, you'll probably need it after the traumatizing footage you're about to see. Once everything was torqued down, I moved on to doing the timing. Now, on one hand, it's not rocket science doing timing on an EJ engine, but you can probably say that about anything you already know how to do. When doing something for the first time, it can sometimes be challenging and sometimes be straightforward. For me, doing timing for the first time was a bit of a struggle, as you can see. So I did it while my friend Lotan, who's done a million of these, was watching and guiding me. Eventually I got it, and future me had to do timing twice more for reasons that will be explained later on. But I'm happy to report that the next 2 times I did it on my own, I got it right. So that's another handy skill added to my toolbox. Once timing was done, pulled the tensioner pin I so well deserved to pull, gave the engine 2 full rotations to make sure everything returns to where it's supposed to. Oh, hang on, there's another part number for you. You're welcome. Once confirmed that the engine turns over smoothly and that everything is happy, it was on to degreeing the cams, which my friend Yotam from Tuning Power by Wire came to help accomplish. Now, I won't go through the entire process because I don't want to bore you to death, but all you should know is that Kelford supply a spec sheet on their website of what numbers you should reach in order to have the cams in their ideal position relative to cylinder number 1's top dead center. So here are the numbers, some gauges were involved, and eventually we got everything to where it needs to be. Once the cams were properly degreed, I went on to complete the engine assembly. So for the rocker covers, new gaskets, 3-bond sealant, new OEM bolts and washers, more part numbers for you. After that, went on to refitting all the Bachelor Racing billet goodies that I love so much. And I think I'm going to take a short break from all this voiceovering, so back to me.
Now I know it is not required to put sealant on the rocker cover breathers, but last time I had a bit of a sweat from here. They were sweating a bit, and I thought, should have put some sealant. So this time, we're doing it right.
So these multi-layer steel gaskets for the headers. They have one side with like a lip and one side is like flat. So I don't know which side is supposed to go where, but I'm just gonna guess with this one and put the side with the lip on the heads, and the headers will go where the flat side is. Hope I'm right, but if I'm wrong, you guys will correct me in the comments. Okay. I think the more you need to spread the headers out, that means probably these heads have been decked multiple times. I mean, it's not terrible, it fits, but it looked like, you know, it doesn't want to goes straight on. Don't know what these nuts are, if they're the right ones, but they came with the gaskets. So I've seen that I think also RCM and also Fuji Racing, I think they sell like these high temp nuts that are specific for these headers. Maybe in the future I'll get some. And we are back to voiceovering. So here I was just putting the old modified up pipe back using some new bolts and nuts that I can't remember where they came from. Might have been from an up pipe that I once bought off Smedia and he included the bolts and gasket, but I can't remember. Anyway, you need to be careful when working in this shop because once your face enters the licking zone, it will be licked by this dog. Or at least he will try to take advantage of every opportunity he gets. After fitting the up pipe, threw on the good old trusty spinny spoolie GTX 2860 Gen 2 Turbo, tightened down the oil return line, still need to get a heat sleeve for that one, added some Vibrant Performance adapter fittings to convert the turbo coolant lines to all braided hoses with AN fittings. Now for the power steering pump, I had this adapter I bought off eBay. It's from a company called Torx UK. And while it works just fine, it's a -8 AN fitting, and I had the Chase base kit that uses a -10 hose. So to make it all work, I had to add a reducer fitting from -10 to -8. I also had to use a 90-degree fitting, and it all made for a bit of a crowded look in my opinion, and also gave the setup a rather tall profile. So to solve this, I found this adapter fitting from an Australian-based website. It's a nice kit that comes with all the required hardware and a new O-ring seal, and this adapter fitting converts the power steering pump's inlet to a female -8. So I paired it with a Radium Engineering banjo fitting that goes from -8 to -10 AN fitting, and with this setup I gained a lower profile and a much cleaner look. So, nice upgrade in my opinion. Also got new OEM bolts from Subaru for the power steering pump, but nobody cares. For the cam gears, individually removed each of the ARP bolts, gave them some Loctite, put them back in and marked each one. I'm really hoping with using red Loctite that I will be able to get them out in the future without snapping the heads off. Added the timing belt guides, which I can't remember who commented on one of my videos that I was missing them, so sorry about that, but I didn't even realize these existed, so whoever did comment, thank you for that. The timing covers were a bit dirty, so gave them clean before putting them on the nice new clean engine. Attached all the various sensors using new hardware where applicable. Now for the coolant system. Since I decided to delete the header tank, I thought I would just make a hose that goes straight from the metal pipe that comes from the water pump directly to the turbo. For that, cut the beaded head off, smoothed the edges, applied some paint to prevent rusting in the future, and then used this adapter to convert the pipe to a -8 AN fitting. Didn't know if this was the right size fitting for the hose, didn't know if there would be enough clearance between the pipe and the block to clear the fitting. I don't know if this will seal properly, but we will find out, won't we? Measured all the stuff, made the hoses, and this is what I ended up with. A 45-degree fitting that goes from the turbo and a straight fitting that goes to the metal pipe. For the return, we have a 90-degree coming from the turbo and another banjo fitting that goes back into the block. Using all these fittings makes for a slightly easier life when required to go back and work on some of these parts, and overall I like the clean look that all the braided hoses and AN fittings provide, so it's definitely worth it in my opinion. Slapped on some new OEM gaskets from Subaru, both underneath the thermal spaces and above, added the IAG TGVs after giving them a clean as well, tightened everything down to spec, attached all the IAG fuel rails back with the same old ID 1050X injectors and RCM parallel fuel line kit, put the intake manifold back on, yes, using new OEM gaskets, yes, torqued everything down to spec, threw the alternator back on, and that concluded all the small jobs I wanted to do on the engine before putting it back in the GC. So now, it's time to get the new engine back in the car. Okay, good morning guys. We are a few days into the future. Everything you just saw is stretched over a number of days. I came here every night after work and made progress with what I could to get to this day. Just need to throw on a few more bits and pieces and then the engine can be dropped back into the engine bay. To tell you the truth, I'm a bit nervous because I don't know if I did everything correctly. We'll only find out when it's probably a bit late. Spent a lot of late nights. I hope I did everything properly, and we will soon find out if I did everything correctly or if I messed up. Hi there, it's me from the future. So I thought a lot about showing this next bit because I know that once it's out, the internet will be able to make fun of me forever. As you can see, I've had plenty of time to process everything that happened, so I'm in a good mood now and I don't care. What I mean is that I prefer sharing what happened to me so I can spare others the pain rather than thinking what haters are going to think about me. I made a terrible mistake, I'm going to own up to it and take it on the chin. So in order to fit the clutch and flywheel, I had to get the engine off the engine stand and set it on this trolley. Now no one told me that you're supposed to support EJ engines from the rear. I wasn't born with this knowledge in my brain, so I had no idea what was about to happen. While I was leading the engine towards the car, as soon as I turned my head to see where I was going, this happened. The engine fell back, it hit the shop floor, and it flipped on its back, aka the intake manifold. Now, the damage that we saw, the damage that was visible, there's the brake booster vacuum port that broke, so my friend managed to extract and replace it. The right hand side top mount intercooler bracket was completely bent, and you can bend it back with your hands, so I'll finalize its position once I go to put the top mount intercooler back in. There were some bruises on the intake manifold, there was a mark on the turbo hot side. I was very lucky that the engine stand fixture was still mounted to the rear of the engine, and I think that blocked most of the fall. So I was extremely lucky in that regard. But all the damage that I mentioned is the damage that we were able to see, the damage that was visible. I don't know, how are the internals doing? What are the valves? How are the valves? How are the injectors? I don't know what's happening internally inside the engine. I believe I will find out once we go and start the engine. So we'll discover other surprises along the way. It feels like if you've seen like really cruel movies, like Tarantino style movies, where he does this like build up of showing all the nuances of someone's beauty and how perfect she is, and then at some point she gets like, I don't know, brutally murdered or beaten up severely and her whole face is like distorted afterwards. That's what it felt like. All the parts, all the money invested, all the labor, late nights, all to lead up to this pinnacle of disaster. It just feels like a cruel movie at this point. So I didn't do much filming and explaining after that. I just carried on working in silence, fitting everything that needed fitting in order to get the engine in the car. Eventually, my friends helped me drop the engine back in, and that was pretty much it for the day. I was in no mood to carry on, and it was getting pretty late anyway. So, wasn't a very good day for me. I hope the engine is okay. Next video will probably be the first start where we will get to see what the outcome of the last 2 weeks will be. There is a bit of good news that after fitting the GD upper coolant crossover pipe, the Samco upper radiator hose, which I thought I ruined because I cut it too short, now fits perfectly. So a bit of good news, a small win. Not all bad news. I'd also like to say thank you to my friends and Single Malt Scotch who all supported me when I was feeling down. So that is all for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Please learn from my mistakes. Until next time, see you in the next one.